Hello, good evening to everybody. I'm again online. I'm live again. Following yesterday's video, there have been some very good reactions, and indeed, I like those reactions because they help to make us continue the conversation. So, welcome, Dr. Kajik. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Mr. Ngobe, Evaristos. Yes, I'm very glad because some reactions have come in and I want to respond to one of them or a few of them. Yeah, at the moment, there is one which is important to talk about, but I also posted something online today saying, well, people could still watch my video of yesterday and read the article by Dr. Kajik and see if they could ask more questions or bring up other ideas, and we will discuss them today. So as usual, I am bringing to you what I call Opportunities Forum, and here I usually, but not exclusively, talk about scholarship, opportunities abroad, studies abroad, even when you are sponsoring yourself, and other forms of training and educational opportunities like fellowships and leadership trainings, also summer schools, winter schools, etc. So welcome everybody on board. Following yesterday's discussion, somebody was wondering if it is right or wrong to contact an office in charge of scholarships and ask them if somebody in your discipline is eligible to apply. And I'm so happy about that comment or question because it's from somebody who really knows the right thing to do, but was asking it as a way of prompting me to talk about this so that it can be helpful to other people. And that's why I always plead that people should ask questions, even if they know, they can still ask questions that will help me to talk, or even like not only questions, you can even help me correct something if I say it the wrong way. So that as many people as possible can learn from this platform. I think that nearly all my French viewers today may be able to manage some English, but where possible, I may do some speaking to in French. Bon, pour ce soir, je vais revenir un peu sur la vidéo d'hier. Il y a des réactions qui me poussent, et ce sont des réactions très positives d'ailleurs, aussi à continuer le débat ou, disons, la discussion. Et particulièrement ce soir, je vais parler de la question qu'une personne a posée, pas parce que la personne ne sait pas la vérité, mais parce que la personne veut pousser la discussion au profit des autres. Il s'agit de quand est-ce que, est-ce que puis-je contacter, disons, l'équipe qui est chargée d'une bourse pour demander si quelqu'un dans mon domaine académique est éligible. Donc, et c'est de ça que nous allons parler ce soir. Yes, I think the answer to that is yes and no. Yes and no, why? Because first, let's start with the no. No, when the announcement of a scholarship is explicit enough, is clear enough. If the scholarship specifies first eligibility in terms of nationality, in terms of country, if they say the scholarship is for people from the following countries, and they list the countries, and they don't say etc., or among others, if they list 10 countries and you are not from one of those 10 countries, don't apply. If they say the scholarship is open for people from this academic background, and they list a given number of subjects, and they end there without any other opening, anything that gives you the impression that perhaps they may be interested in something else, it is important not to. Yes, it is important not to. That is, I'm trying to come back to the point of yesterday that you should only ask them a question that has not been answered on the original post, on the original announcement of the scholarship. You should, as much as possible, ask only questions that have not been answered already, because if you should ask a question that has been answered already, that would give a wrong impression about you to the committee in charge of the scholarship. Well, now let's take the yes, but there are also circumstances in which we can write to find out. There are many, but I will start with the first one. There are times when, in terms of the academic disciplines involved, or even let's start with the countries. If in terms of countries, they just say this scholarship is for developing countries, and they don't give a list of what that scholarship considers to be developing countries, because even the term developing countries is debatable. If they don't give any list, because some countries, like for example, the Netherlands, we usually give the list of the countries they consider to be developing or middle income countries or whatsoever. They have different criteria or classifications. So if the scholarship says only vaguely or generally that it is meant for people from developing countries, then you may want to, and you come from a country where you think this country is developing, you may want to find out. You can write and ask, I am from this country and I was wondering if I am eligible to apply for the scholarship. That is possible. Then now, in terms of disciplines, academic fields of study, there's some fields of study that will not even worry about what was somebody's previous academic background. For example, you may be applying for an MFA, a Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing, or in some other form of art, in some other kind of artistic production. They usually do not care what your background is, but you must have a first degree. You must have an initial university degree, but they don't necessarily care what it is. And it could be a degree in chemistry, it could be a degree in medicine, it could be a degree in biology, it could be a degree in geography or whatever. Because first of all, with Masters of Fine Arts, with creative writing, or with other forms of practice-based research, you just have to show proof of, you submit a portfolio of your writing or your artwork or your paintings, and it is on the basis of that you are judged. You are evaluated for admissions into that. They see the potential talent that you have in that domain. So if you are applying to do maybe writing of novels or writing of plays or writing of poetry, you have to submit samples of things you have written in these genres, and they will be studied, and on the basis of that, plus other factors of your application, you can then be admitted. So in that case, there will be no need even to contact asking if you are eligible to apply for an MFA if you come from this background or the other. Then there are also scholarships where they would list disciplines that people from are expected to apply for. And in listing those disciplines, they may say they are accepting these disciplines plus other disciplines and qualifications that the admissions committee or the scholarships committee may judge as being equivalent. Please listen to this very carefully. So they may say that they may list quite a good number of subjects or disciplines, but add a sentence saying that they are also accepting students with other kinds of academic qualifications or qualifications from other academic disciplines if they are judged as being equivalent, or if they are considered as being equivalent. Another case could be that they say they are accepting these particular kinds of subjects, but as well as related subjects. For example, they may say they are accepting people who have bachelor's degrees. If it's a master's scholarship, for example, they may be accepting people who have a bachelor's degree in maybe physics, chemistry, biology, and mathematics, or even medicine, but they may not mention some other thing like molecular biology. That's a subfield of biology. You can do that. You can apply if you study molecular biology, because that's a related field. Or perhaps they might not have mentioned biochemistry, but they have mentioned chemistry and they've mentioned biology. So you see that there is this relationship. But if you are in doubt and you have a degree in biochemistry and you are in doubt, you may, on the basis of the fact that they have not specifically mentioned biochemistry, you may want to find out. You may want to write, a short email and say, yes, but usually they will give the name of the person in question. So and if they give it with a title, it is good to use the title of the person. If the person is a doctor, it's good to say doctor this. If the person is a professor, it's good to say professor this. If their name is not given, you may want to, if their title is not given and you are sure that the person is a man, you can use Mr. Or if you are sure that the person is a woman, you can use Miss or Mrs. So, and you write to them and you say, well, I'm interested in applying for the scholarship in such and such domain, and I have this degree, I have a degree in this field of study, I have a degree in biochemistry, but on the website, you've listed subjects or disciplines that you're accepting people from without including biochemistry, and I was wondering if I can apply on the basis of my degree in biochemistry. And you wait for them and they can come back to you. They can always happily come back to you. So that is basically it. I say first, do not contact to ask about something which is explicitly explained on the web pages, on the announcement page of a scholarship. It will give a bad impression of you. But if you are in doubt and you have good grounds for which to doubt, you can write. And I'm saying that, for example, if they say that, because there are people who sometimes have qualifications that can be judged, can be considered to be equivalent to a bachelor's degree, which is not really a bachelor's degree. I will give a good example. There are people in Francophone countries in Africa who have degrees or diplomas from these higher colleges of education, which are known in French as École Normale Supérieure. Sometimes you may have a diploma from École Normale Supérieure and you earned it within 3 years and you have an equivalent value of about 380 credits. Although on the certificate it is not mentioned, it is not written that what you have is a degree. It might be called a diploma, un diplôme, but in fact there will be some countries and also some institutions and some scholarships that may consider such a certificate as being equal to a degree because it was obtained within 3 years, and most bachelors are obtained within 3 years or 4 years, and it has an equivalent value of about 380 credits. So when you are in doubt, you can ask about such a thing on the condition that it is said on that website that they can also accept students with other forms of qualification, academic qualification or academic and professional qualification if they are deemed, if they are considered to be equivalent to the bachelor's or to the master's they are asking for. And that another instance in which you might want to contact the office is if they say, they give a list of subjects or disciplines and then they end up saying that under related fields. So you might want to check if your own field which you think is related is quite related. But if it is obviously related, as in the case which I just mentioned earlier, I mean the case of if they mention biology and chemistry and physics and mathematics, you might not even necessarily want to check again about biochemistry, because just seeing chemistry and biology there, you understand that biochemistry is a related subject because it's a kind of combination of biology and chemistry. So these are the kind of instances in which one can contact the office to find out if they are eligible to apply. But now I want to talk about another instance where it is good, almost absolutely necessary to contact the office of admission, especially for people who want to apply for postgraduate admissions. And let me briefly make this clarification that in North America, they talk about graduate admissions when it is master's and PhD, while in the UK and the rest of Europe, they talk about postgraduate when it is master's and the PhD. And then in North America, which is the US and Canada, they will talk about the undergraduate degree, which is the bachelor's. And in the UK and the rest of Europe, they will mostly talk about the graduate degree, which is the bachelor's. So I'm saying now, if you want to apply for a master's degree or for a PhD, because most masters are research-based, but some are taught. If you want to apply for a research-based master's, it is usually important to contact the institution earlier enough with a suggestion of what you want to work on as research, to find out if there is somebody there who can supervise you. But first, please, before you try to do that, it is important to check the website of that university. And the good news is that most universities in Western countries, but also in some countries in Africa, like Ghana is amazing in that, and Kenya, also Nigeria, you are able to go to their websites and you see the profiles of their professors. It's lamentable, I think, that some universities, some of our very good universities, don't include the profiles of their lecturers on their websites. It's a pity, but I think that's a good thing for those that are doing. They should keep doing, and we do hope that others will join them soon. So usually you have to first go to the website of the university and check the department in question and check the staff profile or the faculty profile, so that you go through patiently. And you also have to familiarize yourself with the website of a university and even more information about the university even outside its website. You need to know the status, the reputation of that university. You need to know the strengths of that university. You need to know, why am I choosing this university? How different is this university from those that are near me or from other ones in that country? So you need to check these things, but most importantly, I say you have to check the web profiles of the professors and see which of the professors or which of the lecturers is doing research or is interested in supervising people in your field, or people who have topics like the one you do. So when you see that, you have to now write to the person. You choose one of them. Sometimes you can see more than one who are happy to accept students. Generally, it is advisable, please, to write to one at a time and get their response before you write to another. Or another way would be maybe to write to all the three, but in one email, and let them understand that you have really written to all of them at a time. That is better than maybe writing each one of them separately, but simultaneously, because they are colleagues and they are definitely going to discuss about that. So just imagine they meet over lunch, and then one of them is saying, well, I've received this email, this amazing email from this potential student from Cameroon or Kenya or Uganda or Morocco, who wishes or who is interested in studying with us. Another person say, oh, the same student has written to me. So it becomes, you can just understand, it won't be a good thing. But if you have written to all of them in the same email, making them understand that you have written to all of them at the same time, it is also better. And they might also then discuss within themselves and see who is more interested in your topic. But usually it is even a better strategy to write to one person at a time, to choose the person that you think his research profile and interest and expertise corresponds the closest to your expectations and ambitions. So you can write to the staff member in question directly and show your research proposal. And please never write somebody and you are telling them about an idea. I'm thinking that I want to do research in this place. You will just damage your image. You must prepare a research proposal and contact them with it, because it is only that proposal they can read and they decide. Even the way, the structure, the way you write, you present yourself to them, and your email, and how you've come in contact with them, how you know about them, and what you've read about them, any of their research papers that you've read. Those are things to consider when you're contacting them. So, and after you contact them, if they are willing and they are glad to work with you, then you can proceed and go on to apply. And sometimes they can even give you more insider information about the institution and more tips to make your application stand out and be strong. And you can then likely, possibly have the scholarship. But remember that there is always competition. And one thing is that, and this is absolutely compulsory for people who are applying for a PhD. And sometimes it really kind of makes me want to laugh. Oh, maybe laugh is not the right term, but I don't know how to describe it. When sometimes you discover somebody who is intending to study for a PhD and they don't have any research proposal. That's a terrible situation to come across. Because PhD is usually about research. It's true that there are a few professional PhDs that are taught, but even when they are taught, you are expected to write a kind of project, and that project is still research kind of stuff. But in general, and the majority of PhD programs consist largely of research. And you should start off with a topic. You should start off with a research proposal, a particular thing you want to use the next 3 years of your life or the next 4 years of your life, depending on the country or the institution, researching, finding out about, experimenting with. It's very important to do so. So it's only in case that a scholarship, because I know about scholarships. For example, I will give you an example of a scholarship where people apply right up to even PhD level, but without knowing potential supervisors. But the situation I'm just describing is very typical. If you are applying in the UK, if you are applying in the US and Canada, if you are applying in most other countries in Europe, like Germany, like Denmark, like Norway, like France, you will have to have your research proposal handy before, and you communicate with a potential supervisor who gives you their okay, that they're ready to work with you, so that you mention that when you are applying. But then I know about a scholarship, the Turkish government scholarship, where you apply without, even right up to the PhD level, sometimes without necessarily needing to have a potential supervisor. But they may place you in a university and also place you under a supervisor, or you may have to negotiate your way through when you get to that university. So I just wanted to say, well, sometimes now, suppose you want to apply for the Turkish scholarship, and I'm saying this based on my experience about that scholarship in 2014. Perhaps things have changed about it. So information, things always change. Maybe things have changed, but this is what was happening up to 2014. So you may want to write to the Turkish the government scholarship board YTB, and to find out maybe from them if you can apply you can apply for the PhD scholarship if you have maybe a master's in this, or if you are willing or interested in working on such and such a research topic. You may do that, as well as you may just apply, because their website is very comprehensive and they supply extremely valuable information, very good information, very useful information. Yeah, that's that. I was wondering, I'm thinking if I may have to say what I've said in French, but please, those who are watching me and their first language is French, and they think that they would need me to say what I've said in French, please, can you wave? Can you indicate even with a comment? Otherwise, I would think that it's not necessary to retake everything that I've said in French. And to see. Thank you, Brother Richard. I'm happy that you found the information helpful to you. So please, if there is nobody indicating that they need this in French, I think I won't have to say it in French. And like I was saying, when you want to apply for PhD, please, and even master's, which is by research, and you have to reach out first and contact potential supervisors, contact them early enough. By contacting them early enough, you gain a lot of things. And I'm speaking out of experience. Because first of all, you show seriousness to your supervisor or your potential supervisors by contacting them at least 1 year or some 7 or 8 months before the application deadline for a particular scholarship. That shows that you have planned in advance and you are really serious about wanting to come to that university and to work with that particular professor. That's one good point. Another point is that it shows that you are ready to work with them, because they will have enough time within which they can comment on your research proposal and you can improve it. I'm saying so because I've come in contact with people who are supervisors, and they tell me, well, your case was so good because you started early and you were doing this, or your case was this because you did this. And I've noticed that generally what they are all agree, or what they are unanimous about, is that people who will contact a potential supervisor about 2 weeks to an application deadline, or 1 month to an application deadline, oh my God, you're kidding me. You're not serious, man. You're not serious. And they will just consider that you're not serious. Even if they accept that they want to work with you, honestly, deep within them, they don't want to work with you. Because the first thing they're asking themselves is this student sure that within 2 weeks if I bring up a new point, something I think they should adjust in their research proposal, they can do. Can they do that? And usually too, there are people like, when a potential supervisor tells you things, gives very pertinent suggestions, it's true that sometimes you may have a very good point and you don't also want to change it, but you have to be careful because you are just starting to apply for positions, for scholarships. And it would be a very bad thing not to take advice and recommendations and suggestions from the person who will spend the rest of the next 3 years of their precious academic and professional life mentoring you. It will be very important. And when you are even in doubt, if they make a suggestion and you are not so sure that you can say, ask them, they can give you more, they can explain more. They can explain further what they expect you to do to make your proposal look good. And before I will be thinking about signing off for today, just a reminder that in most countries in Scandinavia, like in Denmark, in Norway, in Sweden, and in Finland, usually there are 2 types of PhD positions that they can advertise. Most often they advertise, but also Belgium, sometimes Belgium and also sometimes France, what they call the contrat doctorat. But what happens is that there are 2 types of PhD programs for which you can apply, or even 3. The first one is what they advertise as jobs. You will go to their website and you rather go under vacancies or job positions, and you see that their PhD positions are advertised as jobs, and they're really considered as jobs, and their PhD students are considered as junior researchers or researchers in the beginning of their career. So what they do is that a research group or a professor can get funding for a very big, large project, and they may want PhD students or even postdocs to work with them on that project. And so they can design a specific thematic concern and advertise it as a job for students to apply, and they will select the best to work with on that project. Even when they have already described the research topic and everything, they always still require you to bring your own research proposal, because, it's on the basis of that, and also your motivation letter, your CV, your publications, and all that stuff about you, and the recommendation letters that your previous professors will write about you, that they will be able to evaluate you and decide who merits the position the best. But also, there can be some open positions. There can be some open positions where you are invited, an open call, where and that's very common with Aarhus University in Denmark, where they will just invite any students to apply with any research topic that they have, with any research proposal that they have, and they will select the best, and usually it's very competitive, very competitive. Yes. Then another one is, more and more people are doing PhDs in partnership with companies in the private sector and then the public universities or even private universities. So you have these kind of co-sponsorship or co-funding of PhD positions, where you could be, for example, working in a company that is making maybe clothing or something, and then perhaps they want somebody who would do research on why their sales are falling, or maybe the attitudes of their customers to their new products, and then you may want to come to a faculty of maybe marketing and management and do a PhD on that project, specifically focusing on that company, so that the results, your findings, will help the company to improve, while also perhaps helping other companies, because knowledge is always transferable. So you can also have this kind of scholarship positions, and it's always good to check which specific one applies to you or which one appeals to you more. But more importantly, what are you passionate about? What do you want to spend the rest of your 3 or 4 years working on, and how is it going to help you and help the human society? Yeah, I will have to stop here and listen to comments or questions. Any question? Any comment? Any remark? Any contribution? Okay. Well, thank you very much for having watched. Thank each and every one of you watching. Thank you so much for having spent this 30 minutes with me. I hope that the things I was trying to say were said and said clear enough, and that they could be helpful to one or two persons. And if they are helpful to you, please, you can feel free to share this video so that it helps another person. If you think that it's helpful to you, definitely it may be helpful to another person. And if you want to come back to the video time and again, yeah, you can always find it here on my profile, or you should check out my YouTube channel, where I usually transfer my live videos from Facebook and archive there. Thank you so much, and do have a nice evening.